Welcome, I'm back. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot of nut jobs on. Welcome back to my channel. Um, Today I wanted to talk about the 50-year mortgage that is being proposed, or maybe that it's already a thing. I'm not sure yet because I went to check on Zillow and I didn't see anything on for 50 years. So I don't know if it's already a thing or it's going to be a thing. It's got to be approved or whatever the case is. But my thing is that when I first heard of it, initially I thought this is not a good deal. It's not a good deal because, as you know, when you have a mortgage, most of the interest is packed up in the beginning of the loan. And then when you get to your fifth, like 10, 15-year mark, is when the principal gets paid more and the interest gets paid less. So then when you have a 50-year loan, you know what I'm saying, that lasts longer. So so initially I was like, that's not a good deal. But you know, there's a lot of bad things about the 50-year loan mortgage, the 50-year mortgage. You know, there's a lot of bad things about it. Um, but last night I was laying down in bed and I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up and all this stuff started going through my head. And I started thinking, one of the things that popped up was the mortgage, right? And I started thinking, like, is it a bad thing? And again, went through all the interest that you got to pay and all of that stuff, and it's going to take longer to basically you buying a casket. You know what I'm saying? Especially depending on your age, right? That's where you're going to die. But a funny thing about that is that that's how a lot of people feel or felt about a 30-year mortgage, right? And a lot of people talk about, well, you should get a 15-year mortgage. Now, a 15-year mortgage, you know, it's kind of expensive, right? Because you're paying what you could stretch out in 30 years, you're paying in 15. And what a lot of people tell you to do, like realtors and those the finance people, they will tell you get a 30-year and pay it as a 15. Makes sense because if and that is a good idea. You know what I'm saying? If you could afford a mortgage at 15 years, you should not get it at 15. You should get it at 30. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know there's going to be people out here that's like, no, that doesn't make sense because this, and that. There's ups and downs on both sides. And like, I get it. I get both sides. But I've always maxed out any loan that I get and then just pay it sooner. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to worry. Like if you get a 15-year mortgage, for example, I'm just throwing numbers. This is nothing, nothing like solid. You know what I'm saying? So don't come at me with these numbers, right? So let's say you get a loan for 100,000, right? You buy a house, and let's say for that 100,000 at 15 is $2,000 a month. Let's just say, even if the numbers are wrong, just follow me on this, right? It's $2,000 a month. But if you do 30, it'll be 1,000, right? You could afford in this situation. You could afford $2,000 for 15 years. So why not get the 30 and pay it as this 15? What happens then is that if 1 month you can come up with the $2,000, right? If you can come up with the $2,000, then you know that you only have to pay 1,000. So the stress level is less. Now, if I'm not mistaken, on a 15-year mortgage, I think the interest rate is less, right? But who cares? You're gonna pay it before. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing with that. So like when people talk about before this 50-year thing, a lot of people were like, 30 years, that's horrible. I will never do that. That's stupid. Now that it's a 50-year, now all of a sudden the 30 is looking kind of good. But what I'm saying is, right, get a 50, pay it, in 30. Shit, if you can, pay it in 15. But this is the thing that I was thinking about yesterday, right? Last night, this morning, was that if you get a 50-year mortgage, your your monthly payments are going to be less, right? Maybe not that much. I think I did a calculation for I asked ChatGPT. I asked $1 million house for at a 6.2 interest rate for 50 years, and it gave me, let's say, I don't remember exactly, no, but I did ask this. It gave me like 7,000 or something, and then I said 30 years, and it went up to 9,000. So what I noticed on those figures that ChatGPT gave me, it was a $2,000 different. You know, now with a $2,000 difference, you get more house, or if not more house, in a better neighborhood. So when you look at it from that perspective of making money, and not like, oh, this is my house and I'm going to pass it on to my family, to my kids, you know, then you start thinking like, okay, well, if I get a 50-year in a better neighborhood, I can get a house in a better neighborhood, and when it goes up, when the equity will go up more because it's a better neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Compared to if you get a house in a lesser neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that you got to think about. Now I know a lot of people's going to come over here and they're going to say a lot of, they're going to go oppose me. I know that. Like, that's a fact. Everybody got an opinion about everything. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is this does not work for everybody, right? I was talking to my friends. We got a chat group, and a group chat, and we were talking about this, and we talked about all the cons and all the pros. You know, the majority of people will fall on the con side because of a couple of things. And one of the things that I brought up was like, it's like that whole situation. What you rather have, $1 million now or $300 a day? A lot of people will say, I want the $1 million so I could invest. You know what I'm saying? And that sounds great. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna invest it and all that stuff. But when you got that money in your hand, when you got that money in your hand, you're not thinking about investing. You're thinking about shopping, traveling, buying a car, and all this stuff, right? Now, this goes to people that are not financially responsible. And a lot of people in this world are not financially responsible. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, of upbringing, of lack of knowledge, of just self-discipline and stuff like that. So, and I'm one of those, right? Like I'm a victim of that. I I've had a lot of money at once, and I'm like, oh, before I get the money, I'm like, I'm gonna invest it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. When I get the money, I'm like, yeah, but I like that car, and I'm gonna go get that car, and I end up getting the car. You know what I'm saying? For example, and then it's like, yo, like, what the fuck, So the 50-year mortgage is good for people that have a business mentality, right? Because let's say that you are saving $2,000. Well, that's two extra $1,000 that you could do for something else, or that you could throw at the mortgage. You know what I'm saying? But if you're smart, you don't. Well, if you're smart, you invest it in something else. And not only that, but now you have a a bigger house. You have a bigger, or maybe in a better neighborhood and stuff like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when that kind of plays out. Another thing is, if you are if you're one of those people that buy a house and you want to pass it down to your kids and all of this stuff, then maybe the 50-year thing is not a good thing for you in some cases, right? Because um you start thinking about um what I lost my train of thought. If you're gonna pass it down, you're thinking about, oh, I gotta pay it off, I gotta pay it off, I gotta pay it off. You know, this house that I'm in, you know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking about paying it off. Like, that has never passed by my head. I rather not refinance. And if you like, I used to refinance. I've done it a couple of times. And now that I know about HELOCs, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, if you thinking about living in the house, paying it off, then maybe the 50 year mortgage is not a good thing for you, because you know like we were talking in the chat, with a more expensive house comes more expenses. So the taxes might be higher, the maintenance on the house is going to be higher, your utilities is going to be more. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're in a better neighborhood and they got a HOA and stuff like that. So it depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying? If you're military, this for my veterans out there, I really think it's a good deal depending what you're trying to do, right? Because again, if you're trying to keep the house and pass it down and have generation, like pass it down to as a, generational wealth and stuff like that, then 50 years is going to keep you locked in for a while. But if you're just thinking about like, yo, I want to maximize my money and all that stuff, then you go there. And what I was saying about the veterans is like, in most states, if you are a veteran, disabled 100%, all that stuff, you get like I know Texas, you pay no income tax, and I think Alabama is another one. You pay no, not income tax. You don't pay a house home property tax, right? Here in Tennessee, you pay they give you a discount or you pay less. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to keep your house and own it upright, then yeah, you might want to go with a 15, not even a 30, or a 30 paid in 15, or a 50 and paid in 15. You know what I'm saying? But it all depends on your situation. But I really think it's not as bad as people are putting it out there. Talking about like, oh, this is the worst idea there is. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Because before this 50-year thing, a lot of people were complaining about the 30-year. I'm in a 30-year, and I see no problem with it. You know what I'm saying? This house right here has given me a lot of benefits. I bought a house with this house. So this house has given me another house. So yeah, I just want to get in here and see what you think about, the 50-year mortgage thing. I really think after I thought about it, depending on your situation, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good deal. It's a good deal, especially if you have a business mind, if you're financially disciplined. And that's one of the things, like I said, like you, not a lot of people are like that. I'm one of them. I'm learning, what I'm saying? I'm trying to teach that to my kids, like, hey, you need to invest. Don't like, get a business first, and the business will give you the house, the car, and all that stuff. And it doesn't have to be like a business, like a store, whatever. You buy a house or buy a duplex, buy a triplex or whatever, and rent it out. That is going to give you more in the long run. But again, the 50-year mortgage, what do you think? I think it's a good idea for the right people if you're financially disciplined. If you're not, then you're going to be one of those that complain about it. But I'm like the 50-year thing has given me options now, right? To maybe do something. And I'm really thinking about it. So, just watch this video, leave a comment, share, subscribe, and like. But leave a comment and let me know what you guys are thinking about. And like always, think. Welcome, young back. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot of nut jobs on. Also